Today I'm at a honeypot location, and what I want to discuss with you guys is, are they worth visiting just to get the same shot as everybody else, or actually is there a lot more to them than meets the eye? The location I've picked today is here in Snowdonia, and it's one of Trevan with the waterfall leading to it. So I'm going to head up the river to capture those images. But what I'm going to do is also scope out the area, because I believe that knowing this area a little bit, I believe there's a lot more to it than just the honeypot image. So let's head on up the trail and we'll find ourselves the first small waterfall, and also I'll do some scoping out and we'll capture some different images of this honeypot location. And even just going up the trail, I've noticed what we've got here. We've got this stile going over the stone walling, which is creating a leading line all the way up to Trevan in the distance. And then we've also got the trail itself that comes up to the foot of the stile over the wall. Absolutely lovely composition right out of the box. This is right at the beginning of the trail. So I'm going to capture some images here. The sky is beautiful. There's a little white in the sky, but it's got some lovely texture. So I'm going to put the polarizer on, just get a few images here, and then we'll head up straight to the waterfalls.
In this first gallery, I've included a couple of images. For this composition, I loved the foreground feature of the stile over the stone wall with Trevan in the background, the path leading our eye from the stile through the farm track in the valley to Trevan, and then back to the stile, creating a circle to keep the eye within the image. For this second image, I went for more of a vertical framing using the same composition techniques and changing my position slightly to look from higher ground. For both images, I very slightly softened Trevan in the distance to create what I think creates a slightly dreamy effect. Let me know in the comments which image you prefer.
I loved that image. It's quite an iconic one for Snowdonia, with the step stile over a brick wall with the mountain of Trevan in the background. Absolutely stunningly beautiful this place is. Right, I'm approaching the waterfalls now, so let's find a suitable subject. I'm now in my first composition location. I've actually not come very far. I've just got a really small fall. There's some bigger falls up there which I know about, so I'm going to head up to those. There's also things that I've noticed. There's trees kicking around, small bush trees, which I think will make absolutely brilliant framing for the composition, which is something I've not seen from this location. So I'm already starting to think of ideas beyond the kind of classic image that everybody catches up here. But this is the first of the classic images. It's probably only 200 meters from the road. There's a lot more waterfalls up there by the looks of things. I'll head up to them. I suspect there are better ones, but I just wanted to capture this classic image, which is kind of what people really just come up here for this. And for me, it's about being in the landscape and capturing the beauty of the nature. You can see how I've got my tripod just across the small stream. Just in portrait mode at the moment. I've got some landscape ones as well. The small waterfall just leading down on the stream, leading line into Trevan across the other side of the lake. And there's some lovely clouds up in that sky too.
This second gallery is an easy location to get to, but not as dramatic as the real honeypot location coming up later. Here I've captured it in horizontal orientation, and like the lines of the falls leading to Trevan and the inclusion of the lake, but the rocks and grass leave too much wasted space in the image. In this second vertically oriented image, the leading lines of the small falls lead the eye nicely into Trevan in the distance, framed by the grass and rocks on either side. I think this works better in vertical orientation. Which one do you think is the best?
And this tree is absolutely awesome. I've got the tripod set really low, so you can see here I've got the tripod really low, got it in portrait mode at the moment. Then you've got the tree, the bough of the tree coming over the peak of Trevan, and some lovely clouds in the background. There's also a lot of blossom on this tree. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get an angle of Trevan and the peak, because its peak's nice and dark at the moment in the shade, because the sun's coming from the left at the moment, just casting a nice shadow on the right hand flank. But these blossoms are really picking up the sunlight at the moment. I'll possibly need to wait a little bit until the light is just right so I don't get too high a contrast. So I'm going to set up now and we'll get this image.
I really like this set of images capturing a scene that is very different from the usual honeypot location we'll be at very soon. I feel that the clouds, stream, lake and mountain are all framed nicely by the tree. This image is a crop of the previous image, framing it in a vertical orientation to provide a tighter aspect of the landscape. Do you think this works? And the spring blossom was amazing. Here I stacked two images, the blossom and the mountain. I have deliberately left the shadows on the mountain to provide contrast and keep the depth in the image whilst composing with a tight crop. And whilst on location, the clouds kept changing, and I couldn't resist capturing this cloud formation above the mountain. I like the way in which the branch reaches over the mountain into the clouds, adding an additional framing aspect for Trevan.
So whilst I was scoping out the area, you probably can't see, but there's a mountain rescue helicopter in the valley right at the end. There's an area there called Devil's Kitchen, which is a trail that goes up, and it's hovering right over there. I can see the guy now coming down on the winch, so somebody's obviously in danger there, and it just goes to prove how dangerous the mountains are, even on what is almost a bluebird day. There's a little bit of wind, but it's absolutely lovely out here. But it just shows you the danger. Anyway, I've got a couple of images of the helicopter. If they've come out okay, I'll include them briefly, but just a reminder, always a reminder when in the mountains.
We can see the helicopter hovering as the mountain rescue team are perched precariously on the side of the mountain for the pickup. I wasn't sure whether to include this in the video, but I think it serves as an important reminder that in the quest for landscape photographs, the mountains can hold many challenges, so I've just included this single image shot at 500mm showing the rescue in action, and I've desaturated the image to give detail to the landscape in which the rescue took place. Not my best photograph technically, but for me at least a reminder of the dangers we can face in the mountains.
So I'm now perched quite precariously on a rock. There's a lot of moss on the rock, so they're really slippy. And just let me show you where I've got the tripod and the camera, because I found what I think is the best waterfall so far. So that's my tripod resting on the rocks. There's the small waterfall that I think is a lovely leading line from left to right into the front of Trevan. And then we've got this tree, which I'm going to try and silhouette a little bit because the sun is now moving behind Trevan. And then we have Trevan itself, and some lovely clouds are starting to appear in that sky now.
From this location and with this composition, I decided to create a monochrome image. I felt the silhouette of the tree rising over the waterfall and keeping the eye in the image as our eyes start at the falls and lead us into the image down the valley. I think the silhouette and detail in the sky really enhance this image. Do you think this works in monochrome? The one thing I wish I'd done is take another vertical image to the right and merge them for a wider perspective of the whole valley. A reason to go back, I think.
There's a beautiful multi-layered waterfall here, which I'm going to capture on the way up to getting some additional shots. But again, it's not a honeypot shot. It's not the kind that I normally see here. And it's a beautiful small waterfall. So let me show you, I'm going to capture some low down, and then I'm going to also capture some high up to show you the pros and cons of both of those approaches. This is my low level position. What I want to do here, I want to get the pool in the water at the front to be prominent. And then we've got the lines leading up the waterfall to where it comes out of the rocks at the top. I'm going to include the sky on some and exclude it from others. And let me know what you think in the comments as to whether it's better with or without sky, and also whether you think that it's better low or higher up.
In these first two images, I set the tripod low to capture the foreground, which works really well. Each of these images had an exposure time of half a second. I think the lines of the falls work, but because it was so low, the rocks break the falls in the centre of the waterfall layers. Whereas in these two images, with the tripod set at eye level, the flow of the water is more defined through the rocks, with a more natural line of sight for the eye to follow through each of the images.
And one thing I can't miss whilst I'm up here is the actual landscape. What I'm going to do from here, I'm going to use my 10-18 to get two images, and then I'll merge them for a letterbox style image, because the landscape is absolutely stunning from the layers down in the distance through the valley with Trevan in the centre of the image, and then Llynedwell and in the distance, surrounded by the glidders. Absolutely fantastic scenery.
This panorama of the Ogwen Valley comprises 2 images merged in Lightroom. I like the way the path comes in through the right and leads through the valley to the left, whilst the eye is drawn back into the image by the shadows on Trevan and Llyn Ogwen below. This is one of the reasons I really like to get high on the trails.
And I've just come across another style on one of the brick stone walls as I'm going up to the top of the trail. Absolutely brilliant. We've got the, let me just spin you around. We've got the style here with Trevan in the background. Beautiful. Really, the sun is so bright, it's casting a fantastic shadow across the north face of Trevan there. And then we've got this fence, this stone fence that leads the eye all the way to Llynedwell at the end of the valley. Absolutely brilliant. This place is so beautiful, and this is one of the reasons I love landscape photography. It gets me out. This is an absolutely fantastic landscape.
And with this image, before I get onto the honeypot images, I couldn't resist capturing the classic Welsh landscape scene. The style leading us into the image on the trail, the stone wall leading into the distance down the valley, and the mountainous landscape with lakes in the valley. I always think it's important that we capture what truly makes a landscape.
So I'm really pleased that I managed to find what I think is the best of the honeypot locations up this small stream. There's quite a few as we come up the stream, and I do genuinely think this one is the best one. As we walk through these final images from this location, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Your support is massively appreciated, because I think today we did prove that there are a lot more photographs to be captured than just the honeypot ones that we see all the time. I will definitely be back here. I suspect I will be back here for a sunset, possibly a sunrise as well if I can get up early enough. And for those of you that have followed my channel for a while will know that I'm a great believer that revisiting places is important. You get different conditions, different weather. It's been quite blue today, a little bit of cloud. It'd be good to be here on a stormy day, and also at sunset to get some amazing light. So I will definitely be back here. So keep an eye out for that video dropping. Probably be towards the end of summer, I suspect. It's spring now. It'll be towards the end of summer, autumn time for that video.
I have 2 images of the honeypot location itself. This first one was taken at eye level and shows the falls leading the eye to the lake, valley and mountains in the distance. I think the sky on the day really enhanced this image. And the second image is similar, but from a very low level, so showing more of the details of the falls as they lead away. Again, I felt the clouds really enhance this image, and the lower level allows us to capture more detail in the fall as they lead in from the bottom left. Do you think this scene is the best image at this location, or do you think another image is better? Please let me know in the comments below.
Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and also check out these videos next. Thank you very much for your time in watching this video, and until next time, thank you and see you soon.